Plumbing Practice Test. Question 1. The provisions for licensing are determined by which of the following? A. State Board of Plumbing check. B. Authority having jurisdiction. C. Plumbing inspector. D. The responsible master plumber. Answer: B. Explanation. The authority having jurisdiction determines the provisions for licensing. State plumbing boards determine requirements and provide testing of qualified applicants to become licensed. Plumbing inspectors enforce codes adopted by the AHJ. Question 2. Approved plans are required to be kept on a job site and available for inspection on demand by a code officer. A. True. B. False. Answer: A. Explanation. Before a plumbing permit is issued, a set of plans and specifications are submitted to the Code Enforcement Office. Once they are approved, a code officer will stamp them as approved and sign them. These become the official plans and specs for a job. This being the case, a copy of the stamped and signed plans and specifications must be kept on the job site at all times for review by a plumbing inspector. IPC 105.5.7, UPC 104.4.6. Question 3. Who is allowed to apply for a plumbing permit? A. Homeowners who will perform their own work on their own homes. B. Master plumbers. C. Journeyman plumbers. D. Both A and B. Answer: D. Both A and B. Explanation. The codes allow a homeowner and his or her authorized agent or contractor to apply for permits. IPC 105.1, UPC 104.3. Journeyman plumbers are not typically allowed to apply for plumbing permits, since they have not yet become contractors. Journeyman plumbers are usually required to work under the indirect supervision of a master plumber. A master plumber can be a contractor and obtain a plumbing permit. Homeowners who will perform their own plumbing work on their own homes are allowed to obtain permits. However, a homeowner is not allowed to obtain a plumbing permit and then allow some other person to do the plumbing work. Property owners are only allowed to be issued plumbing permits when the property where the work will be performed by the owner is the owner's personal residency. In other words, landlords are not allowed to obtain their own plumbing permits. Question 4. Alterations made in an existing plumbing system are required to comply with current code requirements for plumbing systems. A. True. B. False. Answer: A. Explanation. Any plumbing alteration is expected to comply with current code requirements. At no time can an alteration be detrimental to a plumbing system or render the system unsafe. Some plumbers think that existing plumbing systems are exempt from current code requirements. This is true if the system is in safe operating condition. But, the moment an alteration to the system is made, the alteration must be within current code requirements. However, the existing plumbing that is not being altered is not required to be upgraded to current code compliance. Question 5. Which of the following plumbing fixtures requires a plumbing permit and inspection for the replacement of the fixture in the same exact location? A. Toilet. B. Bidet. C. Bathtub. D. Water heater. Answer: D. Explanation. Water heaters require that you apply for and receive a plumbing permit prior to the replacement of an existing water heater. IPC 1052, UPC 104.2. After the replacement work is completed, you must arrange for a plumbing inspection of the work by a code enforcement officer. All other plumbing fixtures can be replaced in their exact locations without the need for a permit or inspection. Due to the risk that can arise from a faulty installation of a water heater, it is the rare fixture that does require a permit and inspection for a simple replacement. Question 6. The plumbing code applies to new installations. Which of the following types of plumbing work may also be governed by the code? A. Renovations. B. Replacement of plumbing fixtures. C. Additions to a plumbing system. D. All of the above. Answer: D. Explanation: all new installations are required to comply with the plumbing code. Other elements that may be required to meet current code requirements can include renovations, the replacement of fixtures, additions to a plumbing system, and extensive repairs to plumbing systems. At no time can work done to a plumbing system make it unsafe or be detrimental to the system. Question 7. A plumbing permit is required for the replacement of which of the following? A. Water closet. B. Water heater. C. Bathing unit. D. All of the above. Answer: D. Explanation: pipe and fixtures to be replaced require a permit. IPC 105.2, UPC 104.2, 502.1. A water closet may be removed and reinstalled in order to clear a stoppage, replace a leaking wax seal, or after a new floor has been installed, but a water closet cannot be replaced without a permit. Question 8. Many local code jurisdictions require a site plan before any work is done on an existing sewer or water service. A. True. B. False. Answer: A. Explanation: it is common for a code enforcement office to want a site plan and specifications on file prior to any work being done on an existing sewer or water service. The site plan should show the location of existing piping and the proposed location for new piping. Question 9. Trusses must not be: A. Cut. B. Drilled. C. Notched. D. All of the above. Answer: D. Explanation: trusses are engineered. Regardless of whether they are roof trusses or floor trusses, they must not be cut, notched, drilled, spliced, or otherwise altered. IPC 307.5, UPC 312.2. When truss integrity is disturbed, it can lose its structural ability. Normal cutting, notching, and drilling procedures associated with solid wood joists and rafters do not apply to trusses. There are, however, some occasions when a truss must be altered to allow for a plumbing installation. When this is the case, an approved engineer must provide written details on how the truss can be altered to allow for a plumbing installation. Only an engineer can do this. Question 10. Mechanical joints are prohibited from joining materials of different types. A. True. B. False. Answer: B. Explanation: mechanical joints are approved for joining materials of dissimilar type as well as materials of the same type. Question 11. Who is authorized to interpret the local plumbing code? A. A master plumber. B. A journeyman plumber. C. A licensed code enforcement officer. D. Both A and C. Answer: C. Explanation: only a licensed code officer is empowered to interpret the code. IPC 104.2, UPC 103.1. All code decisions are subject to a code officer's interpretation. An appeal can be made if the decision is questionable. Anyone can interpret the plumbing code, but the only decision which counts is the one made by a licensed code officer or an authority having jurisdiction. Question 12. What is the purpose of the plumbing code? A. To generate revenue for a jurisdiction through fees. B. To control the plumbing work. C. To protect the plumbing industry from unlicensed plumbers. D. To have a legally enforceable document to safeguard property and public welfare. Answer: D. Explanation: the main purpose of a plumbing code is to safeguard the health, safety, property, and public welfare of a community. It becomes legally enforceable when it is adopted by a governing body with jurisdiction. Question 13. When will a less stringent local plumbing code supersede state and federal codes? A. Never. B. On minor plumbing work only. C. On installation instructions from the manufacturer. D. Only on new construction work meant to safeguard property and public welfare. Answer: A. Explanation: the provisions of a local plumbing code will not be deemed to supersede state or federal law unless they exceed the requirements of the state or federal law, making the local requirement more stringent. This occurs only if the state or federal authority permits preemption. Question 14. All pipe used in plumbing applications will have all of the following markings except: A. Pressure rating in SI. B. Nominal pipe size. C. Length of pipe. D. Manufacturer's brand name. Answer: C. Explanation: some pipe manufacturers list measurement in 1-foot increments when rolls of pipe are 100 foot or over, but do not list increments on joints of 21, 20, or less. Brand names, SI rating, and nominal pipe size are required. IPC 303.1, UPC 301.2.1. Question 15. Which of the following is suitable for testing a cast iron DWV system for leaks? A. Air. B. Water. C. Smoke. D. All of the above. Answer: D. Explanation: water is the test medium of choice. A 10-foot head of water is required for 15 minutes. It is common for modern DWV systems to be tested with air. The minimum test pressure is required to be 5 pounds per square inch, psi. When there is a leak that cannot be found easily, smoke can be used to expose the leak location. Smoke is not used as a primary test method. The codes do not permit the use of air to test plastic DWV pipes. IPC 312.2, 312.3, 312.5, UPC 712.1. Question 16. What is the maximum distance an employee of a department store in a shopping mall should have to walk to reach a suitable restroom facility? A. 100 feet. B. 250 feet. C. 300 feet. D. 500 feet. Answer: C. Explanation: employees in shopping malls must not have to walk more than 300 feet to reach suitable restroom facilities. IPC 403.4, UPC 422.4. The 300 feet is measured from the entry of any store in the shopping mall to the toilet facility. During this walk they are not required to ascend more than one set of steps. Bathrooms under these conditions cannot be installed more than 1 story above the work area. There are possible exceptions for buildings that house factory workers or industrial workers. For other work locations, there is typically a 500-foot rule, but you should check your local code to confirm the local requirements. Question 17. The accessible travel route for people going to use public plumbing facilities must not pass through a kitchen. A. True. B. False. Answer: A. Explanation: accessible routes for travel to public restroom facilities are not allowed to pass through kitchens, storage rooms, closets or similar spaces. IPC 403.3.1, UPC 422.4.1. Question 18. What is the maximum distance that a lavatory faucet for accessible use can be placed from the front edge of a lavatory? A. 16 inches. B. 18 inches. C. 25 inches. D. 28 inches. Answer, C. Explanation. Lavatory faucets must be located no farther than 25 inches from the front edge of the lavatory being served by the faucet when the fixture is intended for handicap use. ICCA 117.1, 308.2.2. Question 19. What is the likely height of a handicap toilet? A. 13 inches. B. 15 inches. C. 18 inches. D. 22 inches. Answer, C. Explanation. Handicap toilets are available with heights that include 17 inches, 18 inches, and 20 inches. ICCA 117.1, 604.4. 18 inches is the most common height of a standard handicap toilet. Question 20. What is the minimum unobstructed opening of egress when a shower door is installed for a typical shower? A. 22 inches. B. 24 inches. C. 28 inches. D. 30 inches. Answer, A. Explanation. The minimum unobstructed opening of egress for a shower door installed on a typical shower is 22 inches. IPC 421.4.2, UPC 408.6. Question 21. Assume that you have been contracted to add a new bathroom group to an existing plumbing system. This is a toilet, lavatory, and bathtub that will be installed in a new addition to a home. You will need a permit for the installation. Your plan is to connect the main drain from the bathroom group to the building drain. This could create a problem. From the choices below, choose the most likely concern. A. The building drain may need replaced with a larger pipe. B. Requirements for accessible plumbing fixtures. C. Minimum distance requirements between fixtures. D. The fact that water fountains cannot be installed in a room that contains a toilet. Answer, A. Explanation. Adding new plumbing fixtures can overload existing plumbing. You must compute the total fixture unit ratings and the demand that it will put on existing plumbing piping. It is possible that an existing pipe might have to be removed and replaced with a larger pipe. Question 22. Which of the following are included as part of the minimum plumbing fixtures that must be installed in a single-family residence? A. 1 toilet. B. 1 lavatory. C. 1 washing machine connection. D. All of the above. Answer, D. Explanation. The minimum fixture requirements for a single-family home include a toilet, lavatory, bathing unit, kitchen sink, and washing machine connection. IPC Table 403.1, UPC Table 422.1. Keep in mind that these are minimums. Additional fixtures, such as hose bibs, dishwashers, additional bathroom fixtures and others could be included. Question 23. You are installing accessible plumbing fixtures. You had Journeyman Plumber set the fixtures and you review the work prior to calling for a code enforcement inspection. Visually, something looks wrong to you. Your concern is that the faucets on the lavatories will be difficult to reach for disabled people. Using your tape measure, you check the distance from the front of the lavatory. What is the maximum distance that a lavatory faucet for accessible use can be placed from the front edge of a lavatory? A. 18 inches. B. 22 inches. C. 24 inches. D. 25 inches. Answer, D. Explanation. Lavatory faucets must be located no farther than 25 inches from the front edge of the lavatory being served by the faucet when the fixture is intended for handicap use. ICCA 117.1, 308.2.2. Question 24. Which of the following locations is not an acceptable location for an indirect waste receptor? A. Closets. B. Unvented areas. C. Both of the above. D. None of the above. Answer, C. Explanation. Indirect waste receptors are not to be installed in closets or unvented areas. IPC 802.4, UPC 804.1. All indirect waste receptors are required to be accessible. Question 25. Clear water waste from a potable source, such as a relief valve on a water heater, must be piped to an indirect waste through an air gap. A. True. B. False. Answer, A. Explanation. Clear water waste from a potable water system is to be piped to an indirect waste and must discharge through an air gap. IPC 802.1, 802.3, UPC 801.2, 812.1. This is as simple as having the discharge pipe terminate 6 inches above the strainer of a floor drain. Question 26. Which of the following types of drainage tubing do not require a trap? A. Discharge tube from the relief valve on a water heater. B. Discharge tube from the relief valve on a boiler. C. Discharge tube from the relief valve on an expansion tank that serves a boiler. D. All of the above. Answer, D. Explanation. Traps are not allowed to be installed on the discharge piping from relief valves that serve water heaters, boilers, or expansion tanks installed in conjunction with boilers. These types of discharges are clear water and do not contain waste or fecal material. Sewer gas is not transported through these discharge outlets. In all of the cases above, the wastes are to terminate above a floor or over an indirect waste receptor, such as a floor drain. Therefore, they cannot be trapped. Question 27. What is the maximum allowable water temperature that can be used with a commercial dishwashing machine? A. 115 degrees Fahrenheit. B. 120 degrees Fahrenheit. C. 140 degrees Fahrenheit. D. None of the above. Answer, D. Explanation. Commercial dishwashing machines are allowed to use high-temperature hot water. This is water that is in excess of 140 degrees Fahrenheit, IPC 702.5, UPC 810.1. When the temperature of hot water will exceed 140 degrees, the discharge from the dishwasher must discharge through either an air gap or an air brake. Then it must be received by a standpipe made of approved materials for the high-temperature water. In the case of steam pipes, they are not allowed to be connected to a sanitary drainage system. Check your local code requirements to confirm what types of materials must be used to accommodate high-temperature water. You may find that you will have to install special piping, a sump or a condenser. Question 28. Which of the following is considered to be the best method for connecting an indirect waste to a sanitary drainage system? A. Air gap. B. Air brake. C. Both A and B are equal. D. None of the above. Answer, A. Explanation. The codes permit indirect waste piping to discharge to a waste receptor through an air gap or air brake. IPC 802.3, UPC 801.2. An air gap is believed to be superior to an air brake for the protection of an indirect waste pipe from back siphonage. Due to the nature of installation, there is more risk of a backflow occurring with an air brake. Since air brakes have discharge piping entering a receptor, it is feasible to have the sanitary drain become clogged and back up, which could result in contaminated waste traveling back to the indirect waste fixture. This is not possible when an air gap is used. Question 29. Which of the following is the minimum size in indirect waste line piping of an ice maker machine? A 1/2 foot. B 1 foot. C 3/4. D 5/8. Answer A. Explanation. The indirect drain line on an ice maker machine should be no less than 3/4 inch or the size of the outlet. UPC 801.3.1. Question 30. Circuit vents may be A. Connected to stack vents. B. Connected to vent stacks. C. Connected to a main vent system that extends to outside air. D. All of the above. Answer D. Explanation. Circuit vents are allowed to tie into stack vents, vent stacks, and venting systems that extend to outside air. They may also extend to outside air independently. Question 31. Which of the following types of fixtures can be served by a combination waste and vent system? A. Urinals. B. Toilets. C. Sinks. D. Bidets. Answer C. Explanation. Combination waste and vent (CWV) systems do not require independent vents on all fixtures. Instead of a vertical vent, the fixtures approved for a CWV installation are installed with oversized drains. Due to the larger drain diameter, the fixture obtains the needed air for drainage in the top section of the oversized piping. Urinals, toilets, and bidets are not allowed to be installed on CWV systems, IPC 915.1, UPC 910.7. Question 32. Circuit vents can do which of the following? A. Tie into stack vents. B. Tie into vent stacks. C. Tie into another vent that extends to outside air. D. All of the above. Answer D. Explanation. Circuit vents are used when venting a battery of fixtures. The vents may be tied into other vents that extend to outside air. This includes vent stacks and stack vents. The diameter of a circuit vent must be at least 1/2 the size of the drain that it is serving. Question 33. Sumps used to hold sewage or house sewage pumps are required to be A. Vented. B. Covered with a gas-tight cover. C. Placed outside of any habitable structure. D. Both A and B. Answer D. Explanation. Sumps for sewage pumps that remove sanitary waste are required to be vented to outside air, IPC 712.1, 712.3.2, UPC 710.10. The vent cannot be tied into a general venting system if a pneumatic sewer ejector pump is to be installed. When a typical sewer pump is to be used, the vent can tie back into a general venting system. Generally, the minimum diameter of a vent for a sewage sump will be required to be 2 inches in diameter. In addition to proper venting, sewage sumps must be equipped with gas-tight covers. Question 34. When you are required to size a waste stack vent, you will need to know A. The type of fixtures that will connect to the pipe. B. The flow rate of the pipe. C. The number of drainage fixture units that the pipe will be required to handle. D. The developed length of the vent piping. Answer C. Explanation. Drainage fixture units are the primary key needed to size waste stack vents. Once you have this, you will have a chart to work with to convert your information into a minimum pipe diameter for the piping. You will need to determine the total discharge of fixture units into one branch interval. The total discharge into the pipe, measured in fixture units, is also needed. With this in hand and the proper sizing chart, you will be able to cross-reference from the chart to determine the minimum diameter of the stack size. Question 35. Which of the following types of fixtures can be served by a combination waste and vent system? A. Urinals. B. Toilets. C. Sinks. D. Bidets. Answer, C. Explanation. Combination waste and vent, CWV, systems do not require independent vents on all fixtures. Instead of a vertical vent, the fixtures approved for a CWV installation are installed with oversized drains. Due to the larger drain diameter, the fixture obtains the needed air for drainage in the top section of the oversized piping. Urinals, toilets, and bidets are not allowed to be installed on CWV systems, IPC 915.1, UPC 910.7. Question 36. You are connecting two back-to-back lavatories, two urinals, and two water closets to one horizontal branch. What are the maximum number of fixtures that can be connected to a horizontal branch? A. 3. B. 4. C. 6. D. 8. Answer, D. Explanation. The plumbing code allows a maximum of 8 fixtures connections to a horizontal branch drain. This is also called a circuit vent, IPC 914.1, UPC 911.4.1. Question 37. Piping for building drains and horizontal drainage branches require the installation of cleanouts. Spacing for these cleanouts is determined by the diameter of the drain and other factors. In this scenario, the drain pipe diameter is 3 inches. This drain has a running length of 40 feet. During this run, the pipe takes one 90-degree turn and on one 45-degree turn. How many cleanouts are required for this installation? A. 2. B. 3. C. 4. D. 6. Answer, A. Explanation. Under the IPC, a cleanout is needed for every change of direction exceeding 45 degrees. Also, when there is more than one change of direction in a run of pipe, there needs to be a cleanout for every 40 feet of developed length. Using these standards, we need one cleanout for the 90-degree turn and one cleanout for the 40 feet of developed length. Under the UPC, a cleanout is needed for every 100 feet of developed length of pipe or a fraction thereof. Furthermore, a cleanout is needed for every aggregate change of direction that exceeds 135 degrees. Using these standards, we need one cleanout for the distance, 40 feet, which is a fraction of 100 feet, and one for the aggregate change in direction since it goes over 135 degrees. Question 38. If 3 45-degree bends are used to make an offset, a cleanout is required at the top of the horizontal drain within 24 inches of where it connects with the last 45-degree bend. A. True. B. False. Answer, B. Explanation. Cleanouts are not required when a drain pipe makes a turn of no more than 45 degrees, IPC 708.1.4. or less than 135 degrees, UPC 707.4. The fact that 3 45-degree fittings are used to make an offset is not reason to require the installation of a cleanout. Question 39. When can a cleanout be used for the installation of a new fixture? In other words, what makes it acceptable to remove a cleanout plug, replace it with a male adapter and then extend piping from that point to a new fixture? A. Never. B. When approved by the master plumber who has been issued a plumbing permit. C. When another cleanout is provided. D. When approved by a code enforcement officer and another cleanout is provided to replace the one being used as a connection point of drainage piping for a new fixture. Answer, D. Explanation. Fittings housing cleanout plugs are not allowed to be used as a connection point for a drainage pipe that will serve a new fixture, unless the connection is approved by a code officer and a new cleanout is provided to replace the cleanout being changed over to a connection point for drainage piping. IPC 708.1.12. Question 40. Which of the following are acceptable types of cleanouts? A. The U-bend of a P-trap. B. A rubber cap that is installed with a stainless steel clamp. C. Neither A or B. D. Both A and B. Answer, D. Explanation. Several devices can be considered to be acceptable cleanouts. These devices include the following: U-bends of P-traps, water closets, rubber caps that are installed with stainless steel clamps, female adapters fitting with cleanout plugs. Test tees are suitable cleanouts. Special cleanouts that allow the cleaning of a drain in both directions, upstream and downstream, are acceptable. Question 41. What is the maximum distance that cleanouts can be installed from an access opening under a floor, such as in a crawl space? A. 4 feet. B. 7 feet. C. 20 feet. D. 50 feet. Answer, C. Explanation. There cannot be more than 20 feet between an access opening and a cleanout when the cleanout is installed below a finished floor. More than one access opening may have to be provided for access to cleanouts in large buildings. Question 42. What is the minimum depth of a trap seal? A. 1 inch. B. 1.25. C. 1.5 inches. D. 2 inches. Answer, D. Explanation. The minimum depth of a liquid trap seal is 2 inches. This depth must be maintained. If the trap is not used often, the trap seal may evaporate. If there is a risk of the trap drying out, a trap prime is to be installed. This is a device that detects a falling level of liquid in a trap and then introduces water into the trap if the trap seal is in risk of dropping below the required minimum. Question 43. One trap arm may serve a total of how many P-traps? A. 3. B. 1. C. 2. D. 4. Answer, B. Explanation. Not more than one trap is permitted on a trap arm, IPC 1002.1, UPC 1002.1. Question 44. Flexible water connections are required to be: A. Readily accessible. B. Accessible. C. Limited to first floor installations. D. Supported. Answer, B. Explanation. All flexible water connections are required to be accessible, IPC 605.6, UPC 604.5. This means that they can be concealed in a cabinet or behind an access panel, but they must be accessible. Question 45. Which of the following is the proper term for piping that delivers potable water from a water source to a water distribution system? A. Water main. B. Water supply. C. Either A or B. D. None of the above. Answer, C. Explanation. The primary piping that delivers potable water to a water distribution system is called either a water main or a water supply. This is the case whether the water is coming from a water well or a municipal water system. The minimum diameter for a water supply pipe is 0.75 inch, IPC 603.1, UPC Table 610.4. Question 46. A water service is required to be protected from which of the following? A. Tampering. B. Vandalism. C. Damage during or related to backfilling of the water service trench. D. Geothermal shifting due to seismic action. Answer, C. Explanation. The primary piping that delivers potable water to a water distribution system is called either a water main or a water supply. This is the case whether the water is coming from a water well or a municipal water system. The minimum diameter for a water supply pipe is 0.75 inch, IPC 603.1, UPC Table 610.4. Question 47. Which of the following devices can be used to increase water pressure when the pressure from a water source is not adequate for the needs of a plumbing system? A. A pressure increasing valve. B. A booster pump. C. Either A or B. D. None of the above. Answer, B. Explanation. Booster pumps can be installed to increase water pressure as needed, IPC 606.5, UPC 609.9. These pumps are installed as a part of the water distribution system. These pumps are capable of reducing volume to increase pressure without negative effects on the performance of plumbing fixtures. Question 48. What is the maximum allowable flow rate and consumption for a lavatory installed for public use with a pressure rating requirement of 60 psi? A. 0.5 GPM. B. 1 GPM. C. 2.5 GPM. D. 3 GPM. Answer, A. Explanation. Public lavatories that are required to deliver water at a pressure of 60 psi are required to have a maximum flow rate and consumption of 0.5 GPM. This does not seem like much water. Water conservation has long been a concern, and newer fixtures are designed to operate properly while using less water. Question 49. Water heaters, hose bibs, and sill cocks are normally protected from backflow with A. An air gap. B. An air brake. C. A vacuum breaker. D. A reduced pressure backflow preventer. Answer, C. Explanation. Vacuum breakers are normally used to protect water heaters, sill cocks, and hose bibs from backflow dangers. Question 50. Asbestos cement pipe can only be joined by a sleeve coupling of the same composition as the pipe and sealed with an elastomeric ring. A. True. B. False. Answer, A. Explanation. The only allowable connection between sections of asbestos cement pipe is one that is made with a sleeve coupling of the same composition as the pipe and sealed with an elastomeric ring. Question 51. Vents for vertical offsets are not required where the stack and its offset are, as a building drain. A. Identified. B. Sized. C. Wet vented. D. Excluded. Answer, B. Explanation. Vents for vertical offsets are not required where a stack and its offset is sized as a building drain, IPC 710.1.2. It is normal for vent pipes to have a diameter that is smaller than the drain that they serve. However, if the vent has the same diameter of the drain it is serving, it is exempt from certain vent regulations. In this case, that means that vents with diameters equal to the drains being served are exempt from the venting of vertical offsets. Question 52. Which of the following fittings are approved for changes in piping direction from horizontal to vertical? A. Quarter bend. B. Short sweep fittings. C. 90-degree elbows. D. All of the above. Answer, D. Explanation. All of the listed fittings are allowed for changes in piping from a horizontal to vertical position, IPC Table 706.3, UPC 706.2. Additionally, any fitting allowed for changes in horizontal to horizontal direction are also approved for use when turning to a vertical position. Question 53. What is the typical amount of grade required per liner foot on a household drainage pipe? A. 1/8 inch. B. 1/4 inch. C. 3/4 inch. D. 1 inch. Answer, B. Explanation. The amount of grade, also referred to as pitch or fall, for a drain pipe is determined by the size of the drain pipe. Master plumbers and other design professionals establish these elements of a plumbing system based on the minimum standards required by local code requirements. As a general rule of thumb, the proper amount of grade for a drain up to 4 inches in diameter is 0.25 inch per liner foot, IPC 704.1, UPC 708.1. Question 54. What will result when a 4-inch pipe is reduced in size in the direction of the flow? A. The waste will travel faster, which will allow for better cleaning of the pipe. B. This could cause blockage to build up at the reduction point. C. This could cause slugging in the waste system. D. This will have no effect on the drainage system. Answer, B. Explanation. At the reduction point, because of the direction of flow, waste can build up, which will result in ping system blockage. Question 55. Indirect waste receptors for sterilizers must be trapped and vented. A. True. B. False. Answer, B. Explanation. All receptors must be trapped and vented, IPC 802.3, UPC 801.6. Question 56. Ice makers and ice storage chests installed in healthcare facilities are required to be installed. A. Adjacent to the kitchen area. B. In locked rooms. C. In a nurse station or other similarly supervised area. D. In rooms that are clearly labeled as containing ice in the event that it is need for burn victims. Answer, C. Explanation. Ice makers and ice storage chests installed in healthcare facilities are to be installed in nurse stations or other areas with similar supervision, UPC 1303.3. The location of ice producing and storage equipment must be protected from contamination. All ice facilities must be safe and hygienic. Question 57. Aspirators are required to discharge their waste through which of the following? A. Air gap. B. Air brake. C. Either A or B. D. Neither A or B. Answer, C. Explanation. The plumbing code requires aspirators to discharge their waste through an air gap. A potable water supply for an aspirator is required to be equipped with a vacuum breaker or some other equivalent backflow protection, UPC 1303.5. Question 58. In med gas systems, the exhaust from vacuum pumps must be discharged into the following. A. Designated receptor. B. Indirect drain. C. Outdoors. D. Relief vent. Answer, C. Explanation. Exhaust shall be discharged outdoors in a way which will minimize the hazard of noise and contamination to the environment, NFPA 995.1.3.77.2, UPC 1313.2. Question 59. Flux can only be used in the brazing process when A. Brazing copper to brass. B. Brazing copper to copper. C. Not allowed. D. Both A and B. Answer, A. Explanation. Flux may only be used to braze dissimilar metals. NFPA 995.1.10.4.4.1, UPC 1321.9. Question 60. Let's assume that you are responsible for the installation of a water heating supply system. What type of equipment are you going to install on it? A. Ball valves on both the inlet and outlet piping. B. A ball valve on the inlet piping. C. An automatic temperature control. D. None of the above. Answer, C. Explanation. Automatic temperature controls are required on all water heaters and water heating systems for domestic hot water, IPC 501.8, UPC 504.6. This control must be adjustable and allow for the temperature setting to be set to a minimum and a maximum level. Check local code requirements to determine the maximum allowable temperature for hot water being supplied through domestic water distribution systems. Question 61. Water heaters must be protected from back siphonage with the use of vacuum breakers. A. True. B. False. Answer, A. Explanation. Vacuum breakers are required to be installed on the water supply inlet piping of all water heaters. The normal procedure for this is the installation of a T-fitting in the inlet riser. The center outlet of the T receives a short section of horizontal pipe that is then turned in a vertical position. Another section of piping, usually about 6 inches in length, is installed with a female adapter on the end of it. At this point the vacuum breaker can be screwed into the female adapter. Question 62. The end of a discharge pipe connected to a relief valve is required to be threaded on the termination end. A. True. B. False. Answer, B. Explanation. It is against code requirements to use threaded pipe at the terminal end of a discharge pipe for a relief valve, IPC 504.6. The reason for this is simple. If threads are present, a cap could be installed. If this were to happen, the pipe would be unable to discharge. Therefore, the ends of discharge tubing and piping must not be threaded. Question 63. Where is the maximum allowable working pressure of a storage tank and water heater required to be shown? A. In the installation guide. B. Stamped in the metal. C. On a permanently attached plate. D. Either B or C. Answer, D. Explanation. Such marking shall be in an accessible position outside of the tank, permanently affixed, IPC 501.7, UPC Table 501.1, 1, UL 17443.5. Question 64. The minimum depth thickness for a water heater drip pan is A. 1 inch. B. 1.5 inch. C. 3/4 inch. D. 2 inch. Answer, B. Explanation. 1.5 inch is the minimum depth size for a drip pan. Question 65. Collection reservoirs for gray water must be made of approved materials. To comply with this, a gray water collection reservoir is required to be A. Absorbent. B. Corrosion-proof. C. Non-absorbent and durable. D. Both B and C. Answer, C. Explanation. Collection reservoirs are required to be durable, non-absorbent and corrosion-resistant, not corrosion-proof. IPC September 2, 1301, UPC 1503.9. The reservoir must be closed with a gastight seal. An access opening is required that will allow for routine inspections to be performed. Question 66. Which of the following must be installed on a gray water distribution system? A. A backflow preventer. B. A full open valve. C. A backwater valve. D. None of the above. Answer, B. Explanation. A full open valve is required on the piping that is conveying gray water to a collection reservoir. The valve is to be installed on the downstream side of the last fixture connection to a gray water discharge pipe. It is also required that the valve be installed prior to the discharge pipe entering a filter installed for a gray water system that is bound for a collection reservoir. Question 67. Gray water that enters a collection reservoir must be A. Measured. B. Flow controlled. C. Filtered. D. Monitored. Answer, C. Explanation. Any gray water going into a gray water collection reservoir is required to be filtered. IPC 1302.5, UPC October 5, 1506. This is required as a means of blocking solids from entering the collection reservoir. While the fixtures allowed for the recycling of gray water should not be transporting solids, there is always a possibility that some type of solid could find its way into the drainage water. The filters stop these impurities from reaching the collection of gray water that will be recycled. Question 68. What is the maximum amount of time that gray water is allowed to be retained for use to flush a toilet or urinal? A. 24 hours. B. 48 hours. C. 72 hours. D. 96 hours. Answer, C. Explanation. The maximum allowable time for the retention of untreated gray water that will be used to flush toilets or urinals is 24 hours. IPC 1302.6. Holding water for long periods of time can result in the growth of bacteria. This bacteria is not wanted in the plumbing system. For example, green water in a toilet tank is not appealing and could present health hazards. When a gray water recycling system is sized properly, the water retained in a collection reservoir would be balanced to the fixtures served, and the normal daily use of the fixtures will draw down from the reservoir often enough to avoid prolonged water storage. Question 69. Which of the following mediums is not allowed for use in testing gas pipe installations? A. Air. B. Oxygen. C. Nitrogen. D. Carbon dioxide. Answer, B. Explanation. Oxygen is not allowed to be used when testing a gas piping system. IFCG 404.6.2, UPC 1213.16. A test that is sustained for a minimum of 10 minutes. Testing is not allowed to be maintained for more than 24 hours. The most common testing device used is a manometer. Question 70. When testing gas piping installed in a single-family home that has a volume of less than 10 cubic feet, the minimum length of time that the system must be tested is A. 10 minutes. B. 15 minutes. C. 30 minutes. D. 60 minutes. Answer, A. Explanation. Gas piping that is installed in a single-family home and that has a volume of less than 10 cubic feet requires a test that is sustained for a minimum of 10 minutes. Testing is not allowed to be maintained for more than 24 hours. The most common testing device used is a manometer. Question 71. Flexible gas connectors for all gas appliances, except cooking ranges and clothes dryers, are limited to a maximum length of inches. A. 24. B. 30. C. 36. D. 72. Answer, C. Explanation. Flexible gas connectors are normally limited to a maximum length of 36 inches. When they are used for cooking ranges and clothes dryers, they can be up to 72 inches in length. These devices allow a fixture to be moved for disconnection. All flex connections should be as short as is practical. This is due to them being more vulnerable to damage than hard piping. Question 72. Gas piping installed in a laundry chute. A. Must be secured at maximum intervals of 6 feet. B. Must be protected from damage in the normal course of use of the chute. C. Is required to be installed with only vertical pipe sections. D. Is a code violation. Answer, D. Explanation. Gas piping is not allowed to be installed in laundry chutes, dumbwaiters, air circulating ducts, or elevators. IFGC 404.3, UPC March 4, 1210. The chutes, shafts, and ducts can transport gas to various locations in a building if a leak should occur. Therefore, it is inappropriate to install gas piping in a location that could distribute gas beyond the location of the leak. Accessible. Question 73. When flow controls are installed on gas piping, they A. Must be accessible. B. Must not contain sediment traps. C. Must be equipped with a leak-limiting device. D. Are used to keep operating pressure lower than the supply pressure. Answer, D. Explanation. Flow controls on gas systems are installed to keep the operating pressure of the system lower than the supply pressure for the system. IFGC 410.1, UPC March 3, 1208. These devices prevent excessive pressure from the distribution system. They must be approved and suitable both the inlet and outlet gas pressure for the application. The flow controls must be readily accessible. Question 74. What is the angle made when you offset a sewer with a 1/8 bend? A. 45 degrees. B. 60 degrees. C. 72 degrees. D. 90 degrees. Answer, A. Explanation. Degree of angle equals fitting x 360 degrees. Degree of angle is equal to 0.125 by 360 degrees. Degree of angle equals 45 degrees. Question 75. What is the total pressure in pound per square inch, SI, on a 6-inch diameter test plug with a water head of 15 feet? A. 3.00 psi. B. 4.25 psi. C. 6.51 psi. D. 7.20 psi. Answer, C. Explanation. Pressure equals height x amount of pressure exerted at base of a 1-foot stack. P is equal to 15 times 0.434. P equals 6.51 psi. Thank you for watching.